Christians, I got a bone to pick with you, okay? I am calling out these very specific types of Christians who claim to be good Christians, but are in fact some of the worst pieces of shit on this planet, and someone needs to fucking say something already.
Oh my god.
This is recording. I'm like a grandma.
Okay. I know, it's been a minute, but I've been really busy setting up the house. By the way, if you see a few cutaways where like I look slightly different, it's because it took me several days to film this, and I'm filming some portions of it on a completely different day because I had to take a break for like a few days to handle like adult life shit and hang out with several people, like my best friends who were in town. So that's why in some shots I might look slightly different. Yeah, anyway, on to the rest of the video. By the way, I have a video coming soon where I did a little haul. I went to Home Goods the other day and got a few decorative items to like decorate a few empty rooms, but that video is coming soon, stay tuned for that. But today is not about that. Today is a serious video because lately I have been getting incredibly frustrated going on Twitter on a daily basis and having to respond to certain people. And you know, at this point I'm like, you know what, I have to sit down over the weekend and like write down my thoughts concisely, and I did some online research because I really wanted to do this video for a long while. But this subject's been on my mind for years, and I literally have gone to the point where I can't take it anymore. And if I don't make this video and say something out loud to the public, I don't care if like 5 people watch this video or 100 or more. This needs to be said, and it might as well come from me because I'm not held back by any social ties to anything, and I can say whatever the fuck I want because this is my own platform. So you know what? This is gonna be said. Christians, I got a bone to pick with you, okay? We have a problem in this country, and radical Christians are one of the biggest problems. Now, let me state from the very beginning, I'm not shitting on Christianity as a religion, okay? I am calling out these very specific types of Christians who claim to be good Christians, but are in fact some of the worst pieces of shit on this planet, and someone needs to fucking say something already, okay? So here we go. This video is gonna be about if you believe in the following 5 things, you are a shitty Christian and a horrible human being. This honestly erupted as I saw a few videos and interactions on Twitter that just made me snap, and I had to sit down and write my thoughts because I was like, these people are insane, okay? Now with any religion, there are certain good things about it and there are certain bad things about it. I'm pagan, for instance, and there are certain pagan traditions that are, you know, pretty terrible, like sacrificing animals or other people for certain purposes to please the gods. Obviously, those traditions are not carried into 2018 because that would be psychotic. What am I gonna do? Sacrifice one of my cats to please Bastet? Like, I get a tattoo of Bastet on my thigh instead because I'm a modern woman. You know, like, come on. So really doesn't make any sense to me how a lot of these incredibly old and archaic Christian ideas and traditions are carried into the modern day, and why they are still upheld as like the most moral ways of living when it's actually the most awful and horrible way of living, and these people really need to be like slapped in the face with reality. The following 5 things makes you a terrible Christian and a shitty human being. Number 1, if you believe that women shouldn't be allowed to have abortions. Texas, 1969. Norma McCorvey got pregnant for the 3rd time. She had previously had 2 other pregnancies, and she carried the babies to term and gave them up for adoption. She got pregnant for the 3rd time. She didn't want this baby. She didn't want to carry on with this pregnancy. Unfortunately, there wasn't much that she could do. At the time, abortion in the state of Texas was legal only if the woman's life is in danger. Her life wasn't in danger, she just didn't want to have this kid, so she was kind of shit out of luck. She tried to go get an illegal abortion, but Even that didn't turn out well because I think there isn't much information on this, but I'm guessing she either found it to be too dangerous for her health or possibly they turned her away. Not really sure why, but she decided to do something about it legally. So McCorvey was referred to two lawyers, Linda Coffey and Sarah Weddington. Really cool names, by the way, right? They wanted to change the anti-abortion laws in the country, basically. So in 1970, the lawyers filed a lawsuit on behalf of Linda McCorvey and all other women who might become pregnant and want to consider all options against Henry Wade, who was the district attorney of Dallas County at the time where McCorvey also lived. Henry Wade was obviously against abortions. This case eventually appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court agreed with a woman's right to choose. In June 1970, Texas court ruled that the state's abortion ban was illegal due to violating a constitutional right to privacy. The Supreme Court agreed that declaring a woman's right to abortions is implicit in the rights to privacy, which is protected by the 14th Amendment. It is illegal for you to forbid a woman to go have an abortion because you are basically restricting her to do something with her own body. Pregnancy was basically then divided into 3 trimesters. During the first trimester, the woman can openly choose to do whatever she wants with her pregnancy, whether or not she wants to abort. During your second trimester, the government could step in and regulate your abortion, although not ban it, but in order to protect the mother's rights, in order to protect the woman's health. In the third trimester, though, the state could prohibit the abortion to protect a fetus if the fetus can survive outside the womb at that time, except when the woman's life is in danger, obviously. So basically, you should be able to choose whether or not you want to carry on with a pregnancy. And by the way, I don't really understand that mentality of like forcing a woman to carry on with a pregnancy. Even if you're having a healthy pregnancy, you have no right to say whether or not she has to carry that baby all of 9 months. Some women have an easy pregnancy, some women don't. You don't get to say whether or not like the 17-year-old kid who accidentally got pregnant and has the rest of her life ahead of her suddenly has to be burdened with being a parent all of a sudden when she can just take a pill and not be a parent and plan when she wants to be a parent accordingly, you know? Honestly, if you really want to connect emotionally with why a woman should always be able to choose whether or not she should have a baby, watch the movie Revolutionary Road with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. It is a wonderful movie and the ending is so fucking heartbreaking and tragic, and maybe it'll hit home for you. Guess what? There's like a million things that can happen during pregnancy. Pregnancy is honestly horrifying to think about for me. I have a couple really close friends who've had children and I'm like, how the hell did you do this? Because your organs are moving around, your rib cage is moving around, your like pelvis is shifting to make room for this giant watermelon-sized child that's gonna come out of you. And you're telling me that I have to force myself to do this? Like, are you kidding me? And I really, by the way, really fucking hate it when they tell you you're not fully a woman until you have a baby. Excuse you. What if you are incapable of having a baby? What if you just like are physically incapable of having a child? Maybe there's something like, maybe you were born without a uterus. That can happen sometimes. There are a million things that can make you incapable of reproducing naturally. So what are you gonna do? Scorn all women who can't reproduce either? Like they're all not really women just because they can't reproduce? Are you fucking serious? Which also, by the way, is telling trans women that they're not really women, which is also fucked up because yes, they are, and go fuck yourself. So if you are against a woman's right to choose, I wanna ask you the following question. Why? Are you getting me pregnant? No. Are you gonna be paying for my health and my baby's health? Are you gonna be like financially supporting us through this? No. Are you gonna be raising this child with me? No. So let me think about this. You're not physically, financially, or morally responsible for this baby. Let me think about that. Yeah, you don't really get a say here, do you? What really ticks me off, the Catholic Church's stance on this is human life must be respected and protected absolutely from the moment of conception. Okay, what about the woman's life? So like only her fetus matters? Her life doesn't matter? What about her quality of life? What about her mental health? What about her physical health? What about the fact that she's just not in the right position in life to have a baby, and you should never force that upon another human being? What's wrong with you? What the fuck kind of handmaid's tale bullshit is this?
And she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her.
This is why people like Kavanaugh freak me the fuck out.
What happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep.
Because I'm like, these politicians, these radical Christian Republicans, all they really want is to create like a handmaid's tale society because they apparently can get laid in their own personal lives. So they're all obsessed with our vaginas. So they all want to like have women available ready to fuck at all times on the table or something, and to get us all pregnant and just keep reproducing and having babies right enough. Like, is this your perfect world? I don't understand. What do you have to do with my vagina? Only my partner has something to do with my vagina. And me, you have nothing to do with my vagina. So why don't you stay out of my vagina? Seriously, all these politicians are just gigantic perverts. They think that like controlling our vaginas is gonna make everything better. They're just doing this to suit their own agenda because they're obsessed with a certain mentality, and it has nothing to do with like bettering society in any way, shape, or form. This isn't about God. This isn't about being a Christian. This isn't about being a good person. This is about aiding your own sick agenda, okay? It's about controlling women, which is what you have been trying to do from the dawn of fucking time, and fuck you, and go fuck yourself. Which leads me into the next thing that makes me really fucking angry. When Christians believe that women can't be effective leaders. Oh, this one gets me so goddamn mad. I was a CNA student at the time, and I was doing my rounds with a patient, and this woman was great, except she was brought up in a really sick household where she was just brainwashed to believe really horrible, stupid things. And one of them was that women just can't be good leaders, apparently. And I was like, what? And you know, I was in a professional setting, I couldn't say anything, but deep down inside, I wanted to be like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Like, how did you make it 60 plus years of your life still believing this? By the way, if you believe this and you call yourself a Christian and you believe in Jesus, let me tell you, you're a fucking liar. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So, by the time of Jesus, the New Testament, women no longer had the freedoms that they enjoyed in the Old Testament era. Jewish society had become so male-dominated and toxic that women were reduced to the same status as slaves. First of all, it's fucked up enough that they had slaves, but then they took women and they reduced them to the same status as slaves because why? So Jesus, on the other hand, he allowed women to travel with him. He encouraged education. He wanted women to be just as educated as men. He held them in the same regard as he did with his men. And wasn't he like friends with a whore? Jesus literally treated women with as much equality as he treated men. So shouldn't you be taking an example from that instead of some crazy ass radical psycho politician that's telling you otherwise? The Apostle Paul affirms the equality of all Christians, no difference based on birth, status, or gender. But after Jesus died, he started pushing for a more like husband authoritarian kind of society, you know, kind of like your husband has got control over you, you better bow down to your man. And it's like, oh, okay, so when Jesus was alive, it was like, oh, yes, 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 men and women are equal, of course, of course. And then he dies and he's like, ah, fuck that shit, fuck women, you know, and they started just writing their own rules. So who are you supposed to believe here? Jesus, the guy you call like the son of God and the one you're supposed to follow and believe in according to your own religion? Or his followers who waited until he died and then made up a whole bunch of rules on their own and like wrote the Bible together, which by the way is an incredibly contradictory document. Like, the Bible is ridiculous. If you still believe in the Bible, you're cray-cray. take the good things from the Bible. Why are you taking all the bad shit and those are the things that you're choosing to believe? I don't understand. Like, clearly Jesus was leading with a certain example. Aren't you supposed to like go follow that according to Christianity? What the fuck happened to that? To the people who like take out all the worst parts out of the Bible and say that those are the morals that we should be living by, I have a question for you. When you read Harry Potter, did you identify with Voldemort? Like, do you identify with Harry, Hermione, and Ron? Or are you like, oh, the Death Eaters, they made a good point. Death to all the muggles. When you read The Lord of the Rings, did you identify with Frodo and the Fellowship of Nine? Or were you like, yeah, Sauron, he's got a good point, Hell, in the Chamber of Secrets, if you've read it, clearly shows you how very dangerous it is to blindly follow something that somebody wrote in a book. If a book is telling you to do something really, really evil that you probably shouldn't do, you probably shouldn't listen to the book. Why would you blindly follow a book written by people who wanted to suit their own needs and control society so that it benefits them? Think about it. Historians and people who actually researched the Bible and like, you know, the era during which Jesus was alive, like they all know that the Bible is like a really flawed and corrupt book. Like, you're not supposed to take it literally. You're not supposed to take it as word exactly. Like, that would be nuts. I hope you grasp the understanding that God didn't like reach down with his mighty powerful like hand and write the Bible out. Jesus had nothing to do with writing the Bible. You get this, right? It was written after he died by people who followed him, who were like, okay, cool, we're gonna take all those rules that he gave us, but we're gonna like fuck with them a little bit, just like a little bit, you know, so that it like benefits us and the shit that we wanna do. Like, is you good? Is you good? You awake? From Genesis, the Lord said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him." Helper does not imply inferior or subservient in any way, shape, or form. Helper. So like God created the man and he was like, shit, this motherfucker's gonna need some help, man. Oh, this idiot, he can't function on his own. I better make him a woman. Like, he literally made a woman to like help the man out because he was clearly a dumbass without her and couldn't function and needed to reproduce. Like, point me to a society that can function well without women. There are just no societies like that, I'm sorry. Like, women just make everything better. As a bisexual, women make everything better. Sorry. Let's mention some incredible women leaders and rulers throughout history now, shall we? Queen Victoria, who inherited the throne at the age of 18 and was the longest ruling monarch until her granddaughter surpassed her record in 2015. Indira Gandhi, who was the first and only Prime Minister of India, a strong advocate for women's rights. She turned the government and the economy around and was unfortunately assassinated by her 2 bodyguards. Queen Cleopatra. First of all, she spoke multiple languages. Her brother and his army of like advisors wanted to prevent her from ascending the throne, but she fled Syria, raised her own army like Daenerys style, okay? Then went back to Syria and took the throne back. She basically got Julius Caesar's support and like her army with Julius Caesar's army kicked her brother's army's ass. So remind me again how women can't be good leaders in the wartime. Yeah, it must be all those periods we're having or something, you know? Queen Amina of Zaria in Nigeria ruled for 34 years and remained a warrior until her death. Queen Nefertiti. So Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt were at war, and she basically defied their differences and ended up marrying Ramses II, the pharaoh of Lower Egypt, and brought the war to an end. How badass is that? She's just like, fuck you, I'm gonna marry the guy who controls the other half of Egypt, and now the war is over. Harriet Tubman, who orchestrated more than 19 rescue missions and became the first woman to lead an armed expedition in the Civil War. Didn't she also dress as a man sometimes? She was fucking amazing. She overall freed like over 1,000 slaves. This woman was incredible. So the only reason that you, as a Christian, grew up believing that women can't be good leaders is because your patriarchal, radically Christian daddy and your daddy's daddy and your daddy's daddy's daddy for generations brainwashed all the women in your family to believe this lie. That somehow you're like lower than men, that you're subservient, that you have to be like, yes dear, to everything that your husband demands. This is fucked up and so stupid, I can't even, okay? You need to stop. You need to just stop. By the way, I have this issue with any religion. Like Muslim men who treat women like shit and like property are also on my shit list. I don't fucking care what you believe in. If your religion dictates to you that you should treat, literally like we populate like the other half of the world, like half is men, half is women, right? And like you think that we should all treat women like shit, like I don't fucking care what religion you come from. Like you're a horrible piece of shit. That horrible idea should just be eradicated. I don't care what religion you believe in. People like Mark Harris, oh my god, make me so fucking mad. I swear. I saw his sermon the other day that was circling around on Twitter where he was just like, women should submit to their husbands. I was like, oh my fucking god.
Take a look at what he thinks about the women folk.
God instructs all Christian wives to submit to their husbands. The message is not from your husband to submit. The message is from the Lord. You can rebel against that command. But just please understand, you're not rebelling against your husband when you do. You are rebelling against the Lord.
This man literally would love a Handmaid's Tale society, I'm telling you. This guy's psychotic. Like, there's no way we should let men like him into our politics. Just, no. By the way, when it comes to the whole issue of the government making laws and they keep bringing God into it, like, I don't get why they keep doing this. Aren't we supposed to have separation of church and state in this country? By the way, that doesn't even exist. Like, I remember being taught about like the separation of church and state back in like middle school, and as an adult, I understand that that doesn't fucking exist. These goddamn Republicans, and a lot of Democrats, they bring God into everything. Can you all calm down? Not all of us are Christian, yo. Like, not everybody in this country is Christian. Do you understand that? Like, can you stop referencing God and Jesus when it comes to law? Because those two should be completely separate. What are you even talking about? I found this one tweet, and this guy points out that men who have been accused of sexual assault decide what we watch on TV and movies, decide what books and authors get play, decide what news we see, including coverage of a candidate who will now decide who will be nominated to the Supreme Court, which is damn near everything. Let's move on to number 3. If you believe the following thing, you're also a really bad Christian. If you believe that you should follow a leader blindly without question. Let's go back to Jesus now, shall we? Let's see, what did Jesus do? He didn't want to follow Roman traditions because he disagreed with their laws. The government ended up looking down at him for eating with sinners and associating with people that the government was opposed to, and they hated him because he claimed to be from the God and had radical and progressive ideas. So Jesus was a radical progressive who opposed a corrupt government. Tell me again how I should be following Donald Trump because he was chosen by God? I swear to fucking God, if I see one more dumbass out there who's like, he was chosen by God, I'm gonna reply to each and every one of you and be like, you're a fucking idiot. Jesus wanted you to stand up to your leaders if you disagreed with them. Jesus wanted you to fight a corrupt government. Like, as somebody who's high a lot, I really want to know, are you all stoned? Are you all like super high and brain dead? Like, is that why you're like going along with everything that Donald Trump says and does? Because I swear there's no other explanation. Either you're brain dead or you're just stupid. Or maybe a little bit of both.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I tell you that.
And the internet.
Then you will gain momentum. Terminating the diversity, lottery, diversity, and diversity.
Rich traditions.
And I have to really talk about the Nazis I just want to thank all of the incredible men and women who have done such a great job in helping with Florence. This is a tough hurricane, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Like, he has shown every step along the way how incompetent and stupid he is, and you still follow him? Like, if you are still at this point believing in Donald Trump, like he's gonna do a good job, like, I really worry for your sanity. You support the following man. You support the man who raped his wife? Okay. You support the man who wants to fuck his own daughter because she's so hot.
Although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Oh, it's so weird.
He has encouraged it multiple times on Howard Stern's radio show in 2004 and then again in 2006.
By the way, your daughter,
She's beautiful.
can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous. She's tall. She's almost 6 feet tall.
Okay, you want to support the man who sexually harassed like hundreds of underage girls?
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
You're like
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Okay, you want to support the man whose intelligence is that of an average child?
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words. When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. I could say politically correct that the look doesn't matter, but the look obviously matters. Like you wouldn't have your job if you weren't beautiful. I would bring back waterboarding, and I'd bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding.
Okay then, all right. The man who doesn't understand basic human anatomy? You want that guy in charge of our healthcare? Okay.
With what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother. Because when you say, what's the law? Nobody knows what the law is going to be. It depends on who gets elected, because somebody's going to appoint conservative judges and somebody's going to appoint liberal judges, depending on who wins.
I've never understood the pro-life position.
Well,
I never understood it, because I understand the principle. It's human life as people see it. But what crime? What crime is it?
Well, it's human life.
No, should the woman be punished for having an abortion?
Look, I would say that it's a very serious problem, and it's a problem that we have to decide on. It's very hard.
But you're for
are you
banning
going to
it.
say, well, wait, are you going to say put them in jail? Is that
Well,
the
no, but I'm
punishment that
asking
you're
you,
talking about?
because you say you want to ban it. What's that mean?
I am pro-life, yes.
What is ban? How do you ban abortion? How do you actually do it?
Well, you know, you'll go back to a position like they had, where people will perhaps go to illegal places.
Yeah.
But you have to ban it.
Do you believe
believe
in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
10 cents, 10 years,
I don't
what?
know. That I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know.
You take positions and everything else.
I do take positions and everything else. It's a very complicated position.
This like racist Nazi leader, that guy.
14,000 apartments in 39 different buildings, all mostly white tenants. That is until the Department of Justice took notice in 1973 and slammed Donald Trump and his father Fred Trump with a lawsuit. Trump management was charged with discriminating against African Americans and breaking federal law.
You want to support that guy.
I did try and she was married.
Huge news there.
I took off her and I moved on her like a but I couldn't get there, and she was married. I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the you can do anything.
Yeah, keep calling yourself a Christian. Like, at this point, it's pretty fucking clear that he committed treason. The man is clearly a sociopath with deeply narcissistic issues, and he's not very intelligent. God only knows how he got through school and how many dicks he sucked. if you're continuing to follow this guy at this point, man, I can't help you. You're a whole other kind of stupid. I'm sorry. Number 4, if you believe this thing, you're also a terrible Christian and you're just a horrible piece of shit. If you're racist, especially if you're a Donald Trump supporter, because that's pretty much like screaming that you're racist, you know? Like, I don't care what you're telling me. Like, if you are a Donald Trump supporter, you're clearly supporting a man who's deeply racist. So why wouldn't you yourself have deeply racist ideas? There have been countless examples of how the Trump family treats people of color. Anybody who's different from them, really.
The poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
And you still think that he's a good Christian man? Let's see, let's go back to Christianity for a second, okay? Where was Jesus born? Bethlehem, which is right outside of Jerusalem, which is, oh shit, doesn't that make him Middle Eastern? But wait, wouldn't that make him a brown man? Oh shit, that's right. Jesus wasn't white with like blonde hair and blue eyes. Jesus was a brown man. Like, he was brown. Like, he was a dark-skinned man because he was Middle Eastern, especially during the time period he lived in, you know? There's just no way that he looked like a white boy with like long, beautifully flowing blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, that depiction came from, I don't even know where the hell that depiction came from, but clearly someone somewhere along the way who had deeply racist ideas decided to depict Jesus like this when he looked a little bit more like this. Sorry, that's just like a fact. Like, get with the program. So if the Son of God was a brown man, a man of color, and you hate people of color, wouldn't that make you like the worst Christian ever? So if you want to like kick Mexicans out of the country and you support Trump's ridiculous border patrolling ideas and you want to build a wall and, you know, you support his internment camps, that kind of makes you like the worst piece of shit Christian, doesn't it? Because the Son of God is a person of color. So if you hate people of color, do I need to continue here? Like, hello? One other point I've always really wanted to bring up on the issue of racism, this is what I really want to like ask people who judge others by the color of their skin. Like, you understand what skin is, right? Like, the integumentary system, the skin is the largest organ in your body. You're telling me that you want to judge somebody by the color of their organ. You're judging somebody by the color of their organ. Are you gonna judge people by like the size and shade of their liver next? Like, what about the heart? What about the kidneys? Like, is you good? Like, what is wrong with you? All of us have different shades of skin dependent on how much melanin we have in our body. Like, it's just the stupidest fucking thing. I don't really care what you have against other people's cultures. Like, first of all, not everybody is the exact same just because we all come from the same culture. I'm radically different from other Russian and Armenians that I meet, and it would be so incredibly stupid for you to just like single an entire culture or race out just based on like an opinion that you have of like one person, or to go around thinking that like somebody's skin color is different from yours, therefore they're like weird and different from you and you should judge them for it. And I just don't get it. Not to mention, like, if you believe that God created like the entire human race and he created us to be like diverse and different, you know, and we all have different skin colors and we all come from different places. If you hate people for looking different from you, aren't you just spitting in the face of God's creation? And isn't that wrong according to your very own religion? And if you believe these evil, corrupt ideas, aren't you following Satan according to your very own religion? And if you believe that for some strange reason the entire world needs to be populated by white people and that like white people are somehow superior to everybody else, what kind of psycho are you? And also, why would you believe that your God is so fucking boring and mundane that he would want to create a full world for like people who look the same? That's ridiculous. Which leads me to my 5th point. If you're a Christian and you believe that being gay or bi or transgender is evil or wrong or a sin or whatever the hell you want to believe, you're a terrible Christian and a horrible human being. So let's get down to the basics here for a second. You think God, this big omnipotent entity that like created the universe according to your own religion, created like the human race and stuff like that. You think that God went, okay, well, I'm gonna create the whole world and every girl is gonna like boys and every boy is gonna like girls. Are you for real? Like, you think the entire human population should be straight? Is you good, bro? Because that literally doesn't make any fucking sense. The human species isn't straight. Like, I keep yelling this at people on Twitter because they're driving me mad, but human beings as a species are not straight. We're not meant to be straight. We're not meant to only like, you know, girls like boys and boys like girls. That's not how it works, actually. If you look at the animal kingdom in general, animals are gay, okay? Like, I have 2 gay cats, Salem and Simba, they're so fucking gay, okay? Like, if you knew them, you'd be like, yep, those cats are so fucking gay. Like, they only prefer other male cats generally. They don't really care much for Willow. They've never cared for anybody else except like other male cats. And Salem constantly gets up on Jakers and tries to hump him, and then Jakers is like, what the fuck, get off me, weirdo. Like, animals are gay, like all across the world. Like, different animals of different species display signs of being gay or even bisexual, or they prefer like multiple partners. Like, the world is diverse and we're all like different in our own way, and I do not understand why you would possibly think that your God is so boring and like stupid that he would make an entire human race and make us all straight. That's ridiculous. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. I knew from a very early age that I liked girls as well as boys, and I voiced this to my grandmother, who of course like had no freaking clue what to do with that information. So she was like, oh, you mean you love her as a friend? And I'm like, no, I want to marry her. And my grandma was like, what? Like, why isn't that just like a normal thing? Like, girls are hot, boys are hot. Why do I, as a human being, have to suddenly pick one over the other? Like, sometimes you're born, you know, pretty darn straight. You like mostly like the opposite gender, but maybe you're born bisexual like myself, and you're like, hey, girls, and you're like, hey, boys, you know? Or maybe you're like super gay and you're like, hey, girls. And if you're a boy, you're like, hey, boys. That's totally like normal, and that's just how we're supposed to be. In the womb, there are certain chemicals that like make you the way you are, and it just creates this unique human being. And it depends on how much like testosterone or estrogen you get into the womb. And if you study human biology, like, it all can be explained biologically why we're not straight as a species. You are made this way in the womb, and you come out and you're like, you know, I have certain preferences. And why would you possibly judge somebody based on their preferences? I don't really get it. Like, if you really hate gay people, I really want to know why. Are you like afraid of them? Do you think gay people are gonna like come into your house and start fucking on your floor? Do you think that like what is it about like seeing 2 women or 2 men kissing that like grosses you out? I don't understand. It's just 2 people kissing, like, whatever. And I don't really understand the whole thing of like, well, they can't have kids, so can't thousands of women. Again, are you just gonna reduce all women to like, well, if you can bear children, therefore you're a woman, but if you can't bear children, therefore you're not a fucking human being? Like, are you kidding me? There are like so many children that would love to be adopted by 2 gay parents and live in a like comfortable loving household, but yet like Christian radicals just prevent that from happening because our society is so fucked up. It's like so difficult for gay couples to adopt kids when so many of them would be like amazing parents. And a lot of gay couples go through the process of like in vitro, and it's not included in our healthcare. Why isn't in vitro fertilization why isn't it covered by our healthcare? I don't understand. Like, why is society so set on punishing women who can't have kids? And then once you have a fucking kid, it's like, oh, now we're gonna tell you what to do with your kid. It's like, go fuck yourself, what the hell? Like, first you want me to get pregnant, and then as soon as I get pregnant, you don't wanna like help me in any way, shape, or form, and you like judge me for the way I raise my child and for the way my body looks and for the way that like I handle my pregnancy, and God forbid I complain about my pregnancy, because you can't have that. You're supposed to treat it like some goddamn miracle. You know, ugh, that pisses me off so much. I could go on and on, but those are the basic 5 things that I believe make you a horrible Christian if you call yourself that. But you should just stop. I don't know what to tell you, buddy, because you're not a Christian. You're like literally going against your very own religion in believing these things. Do you understand that? You get that? You get that? I don't know, maybe you still don't get it. Maybe you're still a blithering idiot, but maybe this video will help you in figuring that out. Maybe I'll get really lucky and a few people will watch this video and get really angry. I love it when people get angry, because then I can be like, oh yeah, nah. Like, I love having conversations, honestly, but like, what I love even more is to prove people that they're wrong. So if you disagree with me, please, I beg you, come at me with as much as you fucking want, because I really want you to like be as much of a blithering idiot as you possibly can, so I can get on my keyboard and prove to you how you're a fucking dumbass. Facts just proved it to you. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, not sorry. Like, I bet to offend people in this video. Like, if you're offended as a Christian, good. Like, I want you to be offended. I want you to write me a really stupid comment so I can go reply to it and prove to you that you are a bad Christian if you believe these things, okay? Because this is a huge issue. I don't want a fucking country filled with psycho, radical, Christian, Republican politicians who want to control my vagina, and they want to like reduce the LGBT community and all women to like nothing. No. Not having it. Not on my time. Understand that a lot of your religion's traditions are archaic. They're old. They need to be spruced up and, you know, welcome to the modern age. Like, it's 2018. If at this point you're not inclusive of other people because of the way they look or the lifestyle that they choose to lead, that's ridiculous. You're not a Christian. It's like you're lying about who you really are. You don't actually believe in the teachings of Jesus like your religion is supposed to be. You are representing something corrupt and evil. You took your religion and you twisted it into something ugly and terrible and corrupt, and you favor the rich, and you look at people like Donald Trump and you worship them. And I don't understand why your brain would possibly think, oh yeah, that's the guy that I need to follow. What is wrong with you at this point if you favor and worship people like that? You should re-examine your morals and your stance on humanity, because if you prefer the rich and the powerful and you think that like becoming a CEO or president or of something is like the most that you can possibly strive for in life, then you're wrong, and you're not living your life the way that, according to your very own religion, the founder of your religion would want you to live.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
I have plenty of fantastic Christian friends in my life, and I'm really grateful for them because they are the sweetest people on the planet, and they are inclusive of everybody, and they would never ever judge somebody for like being different in any way, shape, or form, and that's exactly how you should be. So that is my rant. I think it is now over. It's taken me like 2 days to film this. Holy crap. Hey Jake, you want to come sign off with me? Alright, me and Jakers are gonna go. I think I'm gonna give the cats some treats because they certainly deserve it for putting up with me practically yelling in the house for hours. Alright, I'm gonna go. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will probably be a little bit more fun. Bye!